morning, friends. Welcome to the August edition of Monthly Viewpoint. We have our fund manager, Mr. Dhaval Shah, who has joined in for the session. We did see markets touching new highs in the month of July. A good recovery post some volatility in the markets in the month of May and June. In the month of July, markets delivered almost 6% positive returns. And I'm sure Dhaval will help us understand better what were the nitty-gritties and how did the market we see forward. So Dhaval, just to start with, in the last edition, we did touch upon some GST rate cuts that were expected in consumption items. Eventually, in the month of July, we did see almost 88 items which saw a rate cut from the bracket of 28% to 18%. Will you be able to help us? How does this impact on overall economy and especially on our portfolios?
Sure. So when you look at the list of the items, majority of the 88 items were cut from 28% to 18%, and majority of them belong to consumer discretionary as a sector. So things like paints, refrigerators, washing machines, mixer grinders, etc. have seen that cut, which we think is a move in the right direction, as it would improve volumes and at the same time help increase the overall consumption demand in the economy. One of the other important implications that we have is on the overall GST collections as a number, and is there any concern on that end? We had the recent release of the monthly data where the overall number for GST has come to 96,500 crore. I must remind you that the overall expectation for F19, which was budgeted when the budget was presented, was above 1,05,000 crore. So there has been some kind of mutedness versus what you were expecting, when you had the March ending at about 1 lakh crore, that this momentum will continue. But we think that based on the overall impact that this cut would have, Finance Minister has articulated that this will have a further impact of 7,000 crore. There are 2 or 3 things which can be used as a mitigating factor. First is, as the rate cuts happen, you would see volumes increasing naturally because of the fact that goods become more cheaper. And second, importantly, government has done a very important amendment to the overall GST bill, wherein they have said that whatever was the excess cess that needs to be collected, that can only be spent. Earlier version was that it can be spent after a span of 5 years. Now they are amending that bill and they would be able to spend immediately. That is a income of almost 2,500 to 3,000 crore per month that they would get. So net we think that the overall GST collections can lag by 40 to 50 basis points as a percentage of GDP, but government has been very conservative on direct tax collection side, and so overall numbers on the tax revenue combining direct as well as indirect tax will not be a major miss when you look at the overall numbers on a fiscal perspective.
So I guess, Dhaval, that means it's a net win for both the sides, government as well as for the investors.
Absolutely.
Right? That's great news. Dhaval, another important item of discussion, I think which impacts our Indian economy very heavily, is oil. You've been highlighting in a couple of months in the earlier sessions how important it is to have oil at a reasonable price levels, right? In the month of July, we almost saw a 6% fall in oil prices. How does this impact our overall economy?
So any decline in oil is most welcome because we are an oil importing nation. But one of the most important things to understand is that India's Goldilocks oil price is somewhere between $55 to $65 per barrel. After the 6% decline that we saw last month, oil prices have come to $75 per barrel. At these levels, our current account deficit is still high at 2.9% of the overall GDP, and we are comfortable having a current account deficit which is somewhere at around 2 or maximum 2.5% of GDP. So as much as the overall decline is most welcome and markets have rejoiced that decline, we remain watchful of where the oil prices are headed and would accordingly shape the overall portfolio construct so that the portfolio is not detrimentally impacted or can benefit if at all there is a decline in oil prices.
Dhaval, with this monsoon season in the month of July, we did see some recovery of almost 6% by the long-term average of monsoons. But IMD is still predicting almost couple of percentage downwards in terms of long-term average from 97 to 95. Does this really imply, or how does it implicate on our portfolios and overall economy?
So when you look at monsoons, till the end of June, we were 12% below long period average, and July was relatively a very good month, and the overall number is now come to 6% below long period average. Important thing is to look at the overall spread region wise in terms of what is the coverage, and when we look at South and Central India, in fact we are in line with the long period average. In case of Northwest, again we are 4% below long period average, which is not a big concern, but East and Northeast is actually 26% below long period average, which is the key concern. But more importantly, what we need to look at is the overall sowing data, because that is what will impact on an overall basis, and at the same time the reservoir levels, because that is very, very important in terms of whatever reservoir is available, so that the next crop, which is the Rabi crop, doesn't get impacted. In both the cases, when we look at the sowing data, the overall sowing data is only 2% below last year's number that you are trying to look at. Key crops like rice and pulses are 5% below last year's number, which is not a very big concern because this is what was in line with expectation. Secondly, on the reservoir side, when we look at our overall reservoir fill today is same as what it was last year's level, and that is where we think that the Rabi crop will also not get impacted. So we think monsoon has recovered really well and should benefit rural consumption, and we are overweight this sector, which would certainly be beneficial for our overall portfolios.
Dhaval, we have been reading a lot of news surrounding against trade deficit. In terms of Indian context, for the month of June, we saw almost a number of $1 billion, 16.6, a 5-year high. Does this really worry you in terms of currency standpoint?
So when we look at the overall trade deficit number, you must look at on a month-on-month basis, almost 60% of the increase has happened because of higher oil prices in the month of June. Thankfully, in the month of July, those prices have corrected, and to that extent, we think that the July number will be favorable versus the June number that you're trying to look at. However, even at current oil levels of around $75 per barrel, we think the overall trade deficit will be higher by $20 billion for the full year. And when you look at the overall current account deficit, which I mentioned earlier, will be somewhere at around a number of 2.9% of the overall GDP. We think this will lead to currency being at around 69 to 70 rupees per dollar for the next few months, and exporters would continue to benefit. We would think that you're better off playing export-oriented themes like IT and various other sectors in the portfolio to benefit from this theme.
Dhaval, your quick take on the equity market outlook going forward?
So July was a good month after a tumultuous May and June. July actually saw a 6% increase in Sensex as well as Nifty, and even mid-caps contributed to positive returns of 4% after the massacre that has happened over the last 6 months. Importantly, as we have mentioned over the last 2 months, we are getting more and more constructive over mid-caps because mid-caps have had a fair bit of correction, and we see serious value emerging among quality mid-caps. So for all the investors, we would recommend to have near 20% kind of an allocation towards mid-cap. Across all our strategies, we are slowly and gradually nibbling more and more of mid-caps because we find they are fairly attractive at current prices and will make decent returns from the next 3 to 5 year perspective. You can look at various funds which are there from our end, which we offer in terms of strategies, which can also be of good value add to you.
So Dhaval, it's a good time to build on the mid-cap strategy. But at the same time, as a fund house level, would you like to brief us on the sectors that we are focusing on?
So in terms of sectors, we are bullish on consumer discretionary as a space, which consists of subsectors like auto, small appliances, white goods. We think that there is a fair bit of runway in terms of improving penetration in each of these subcategories for the next 5 to 7 years. Second important area where we are bullish on is banks, specifically private sector banks, where we think that retail-oriented private sector banks will continue to gain market share over the next 10 years. At the same time, we are incrementally getting more constructive on corporate-oriented banks, specifically corporate private sector banks, because we see that the slippages on the corporate side are reducing, and this year would be a turnaround for many of the corporate banks. The third areas is NBFC, where we think that a lot of rural focused NBFCs are doing a good work in terms of improving penetration for various goods and products. So that is the third area where we are extremely bullish on. I would recommend to look at various funds that we have in our basket, which we would advise for our investors to look at to participate in these growth opportunities.
Dhaval, you've been managing hybrid portfolios. So RBI just happened to hike rates by 25 basis points. How does this impact our portfolios, and what is our view on the interest rates or the future rate hikes?
25 bips rate hike was already priced in by the market, and what surprised the market positively was that RBI maintained a neutral stance and was not hawkish. In fact, the MPC meeting committee notes suggest that they think that the output gap is virtually closed and domestic economy is on a very firm wicket. Key risks according to RBI to inflation is largely symmetric in nature to a couple of factors like increase in crude oil prices, MSP hikes and trade wars, balanced by good monsoons and GST. Our view is that RBI hike one more time in the next 6 months and then will have a long pause as the real rates are really healthy at 150 basis points. To us, the key risks to the overall economic outlook in terms of growth is largely external in terms of a trade war led global slowdown, or for that matter China deleveraging causing a snowball effect which might have repercussions to the other economies.
So Dhaval, in this environment, on the debt side, which are the funds that you would like to recommend to our investors?
So we would recommend our investors to stay put with credit and other accrual strategies as they offer higher yield and lower volatility in the current market environment. You can look at various funds in this category that we have to offer.
Thank you, Dhaval, for your time and insightful session. Friends, don't shy away from volatility. Please continue focusing on long-term investment. Happy investing. Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.